Hi, this video is going to talk about how to format your paper according to APA style, but the 6th edition, not the 7th edition. The 6th edition, which is the older edition. Always double check with your professor to see which edition they prefer. And if it's the 6th edition, go ahead and follow this video. If it's the 7th edition, look at the other video that I've already shared with you in class. This video is going to show you how to set up all of your configurations in Word according to APA Style 6th edition. I'm going to show you how to set up the font, the line spacing, the margins, how to configure the cover sheet, the rest of the pages, and the references list. But first, I'm going to show you a sample essay or a sample research project. It begins with a cover sheet. On the first page of this document, that is where your cover sheet is going to go. And only on this page, when you set up the heading here, you are going to set up the words running head, colon, space, and in all uppercase, you're going to list the title of your essay. This is going to be in all uppercase, and if your essay title is very long, you're going to shorten it. So this is going to be the shortened version of your title. Then you're going to tab over and you're going to configure the page numbering. So every page in your document is going to be numbered sequentially. After that, you're going to escape from here and you're going to press the Enter key 3 times, and then you're going to list again the full title of your essay. Do not make it longer than 12 words long, and this time you're only going to capitalize each of the main words in your title, not the whole title, as opposed to how you see it right over here. Then you're going to press Enter to skip one line down, and you're going to put in your name. Then you're going to press Enter, and then you're going to add different lines depending on what your professor wants, whether they want the college's name, the department, the class name and number, her name, and the date. Check with your professor to see what they want. Next, the author's note is usually needed when you are publishing this professionally. Sometimes you might need it for a special project, but double check with your professor because you may not need this particular section. Now we're going to go on to the second page. Every page from here there on, the header is set up a little differently from the first page. Here, you're only going to list in all uppercase the title of your essay. And again, this would be the abbreviated title of your essay, and it would be similar to what you put here. Actually, the same thing that you put here, with the exception of you will not have the running head right here. On the rest of the documents, let me show you. See, the rest of the documents don't have that running head right below that title. This is going to be aligned towards the left, and still the page numbering sequentially from the second, third page, etc. is going to be listed in the rest of the pages. In this example, it includes an abstract. So if you needed to do an abstract, you would center the word abstract, do not bold it or anything, and you would write a brief summary of what your research paper is about. Some projects would require you to do this, others do not. Double check with your professor. If you are not required to do an abstract, then just disregard this and then begin your essay on page number 2. In this example, the essay begins on page number 3 because they are using an abstract. The page where your essay begins, you need to include again your title or the title of your essay. This is going to be the full length of your title, and you're only going to capitalize the major words of the title. Do not make it bold or in italics or anything. It's just set up in this way. Then you begin your introductory paragraph. Notice that you have to indent all of the paragraphs. See, all the paragraphs are indented. Everything is double spacing. See, here's a line here, a line, and then text, and then blank line, and then text. That's what they call double line spacing. In this particular example, they're using headings and subheadings within the essay, like right here. So if you needed to do that, then you could follow along this format in which you would center the major headings and you bold them, because you're splitting up your entire research project into different categories, from broader categories to narrower categories. And here's an example here of the literature review. And you can see additional headings and subheadings here. For this, you have to check with your professor to see exactly what kind of headings you need to put in here, and to see if you need headings or subheadings. Then I do want to point out, before we go any further, this is where they have the in-text citation. So just keep that in mind, that this video is not going to go into detail with this, but I just want to point it out so that way you're familiar with it when we reach that lesson. Now, I'm going to scroll down. Again, see all of the paragraphs are indented. Then we're going to reach one of the last sections. In this example, they have the references, and then they have some sort of appendix. Sometimes you may need to add an appendix to add an additional section or some charts or tables, etc. But sometimes you're not required to do the appendix. And your essay or your research project will just end with the references. The references is where you list in alphabetical order all of the sources that you used in your paper. Everything that you cited here, there should be a matching entry here. Inside the paragraph, you're going to do an abbreviation statement saying where you got it from. Like, for example, this one means that this particular sentence has an idea that came out of a source authored by Tidwell and Walter, published in 2002. So we could go to the references list and look at Tidwell and Walter 2002, and we have enough information to be able to locate this particular source and check for its credibility. So all of these will be listed in alphabetical order, not in the order that you use them within your essay. And they all call for double line spacing, no extra spaces in between. And they're using what they call a hanging indent, where the entry begins here, and here they start listing the author, the date in which this source was published in, the title of the article. Then the title of the article continues down the next line, right here, but notice that that's indented. Then here's the title of the journal, the volume, the issue, the page range of that article, and then the link or the DOI for it. So by doing this hanging indentation, it makes it easier for us as the audience of this research paper to be able to determine what is what and when does one begin and when does it end. If you were going to do an annotated bibliography, then you would just press the Shift and Enter key, and then you'll start typing your summary right here, without the underline, of course. But this is just an example of how to format the document for a research paper. So again, this is not what you're doing in this class, but this is what you would be doing in other classes that require you to write a research paper or a full research paper. So now I'm going to get started with the actual formatting from scratch. Okay, so I'm going to go to File, New, Blank Document. Word does have different templates that you could use for APA style, but many times they're more trouble than it's worth. So that's why I'm going to show you how to do it from scratch. So I'm going to double click on Blank Document. Then I'm going to start with the font. In the Home tab, I'm going to go to the font area and I'm going to bring down the font menu. Then I'm going to select or browse until I reach to Times New Roman. APA 6th edition recommends Times New Roman 12 as the font. Now the 7th edition of APA style gives you some more flexibility, but the 6th edition calls for still Times New Roman. Make sure that it's still set to regular and the size is 12. Do not change the font color, the color, or no underlining, no special effects. Click on Set as Default and click on OK. Now we're going to set up the line spacing. Still in the Home tab, I'm going to go to the Paragraph section, bring down that menu. I'm going to go to the Spacing section, and I'm going to make sure that the before and after spacing is set to 0 points. So this one's already set to 0. I'm going to change this one to 0. I'm going to check the box that says don't add space between paragraphs of the same style. Then under line spacing, I am going to bring that menu down and select double. Then I'm going to click on Set as Default, say OK. And that's it. I've taken care of the line spacing and I've taken care of the font. Now I need to make sure that the margins are set properly. So I'm going to go to Layout, the Layout tab. Then I'm going to click on Margins. And I'm going to make sure that the normal margin is selected and that it's been configured to the top margin to be 1 inch, the bottom 1 inch, left 1 inch, right 1 inch. And that is the case here. So I don't have to make any changes. But just in case yours may look different, go ahead and then make those changes. The next step is for me to add the header. So I'm going to go to the Insert tab. Then I'm going to find the header and footer section. I'm going to click on Header. Then I'm going to click here where it says Type Header. Then I'm going to check the box that says Different First Page, because I'm required to make to have 2 different types of headers. The first one I'm going to then type in, because this is the cover sheet, type in running head colon space. Then I'm going to press the caps lock and I'm going to type in my title. If my title for my project is really long, then I'm going to abbreviate it and make it a little shorter. But if my title is the same as anything, then it's okay if it's not that long. So I'm going to say Violent Video Games and Children. Now I'm not going to do anything yet. I'm going to press the Tab key. I may need to press it 1 or 2 times until it aligns itself to the right margin. So now I'm ready to configure the page numbering. So now I don't type anything here yet. I'm going to go under the header footer section and I'm going to click where it says page number. Then I'm going to move down where it says current position and I'm going to click on plain. So that way all my page numbers are completely set up and I don't have to worry about the page numbers. Then I'm going to click on close the header and that's it. Now I'm going to press enter 3 times, 1, 2, 3. Then I'm going to click on the center key while I'm in the Home tab. So that way I can type in my full title again. But again, I'm only going to capitalize just the major words. Then I'm going to press enter. And then I'm going to put in the rest of the elements that I need for my title page based on my professor's requirements. Okay, so now I'm going to enter my name. I'm going to pretend I'm Jane Smith. Press enter. Then I'm going to put in Los Angeles Southwest College. And I'm going to leave it as that. You follow whatever the professor has asked you to follow. And I'm going to pretend that I'm not required to do anything else here at the bottom. Now I am ready to start my next page, right? Because I'm already done with my title page. So I'm going to press Control Enter to go to the next page. So then now I'm going to configure the page header again. So I am going to double click right here where it says type here. And in all uppercase, I'm just going to type in my title again. Then I'm going to press the tab key. One, okay, it did not throw the cursor right here. So I'm going to press it again one more time. There we go. So then see, this time I had to do it twice. So then now the cursor is aligned to the right. So I need to add in my page number again. So I'm going to, while I'm still in the header and footer option, I am going to go over here to where it says page number, and I'm going to do the same thing. Click on page number, click on current position, plain number, and there it is. So see, it knows that it's now page number 2. Then I can click on the close header. And I'm off to a great start. Now I'm going to pretend that I do not have to do an abstract or anything strange, and I can just get started on my essay right here. So while I'm still centered, if I wasn't centered, I would go back to the home tab and make sure that the center key function has been active. And now I'm going to put in the title of my research paper again. But this time I am not going to capitalize every single letter, but only the major words. Then I'm going to press the enter key. Now I'm still active with the centering. So what I need to do now is align everything to the left. So I'm going to go back to the paragraph section, still within the home tab, and just click on left align. Now I'm ready to begin my paper. Now, because I'm starting my introductory paragraph, I need to press the tab key one time so that I can indent my paragraph. And then here I can start typing my essay. The use of violent games, blah, whatever I want to say in my introduction, and I keep typing. And as I type, I'm going to pretend that this is a great, wonderful work. As you type, you don't have to worry about reaching the margin, because as you type, it'll just bring down everything for you, so you don't have to worry about it. So after you type in your introductory, then you'll type in your body paragraphs, depending on how many you need to put in there. Make sure that you incorporate your sources using the parenthetical or the in-text citation. And be sure that you cite everything that did not come from your own head or your own case study or your own survey. But every time you found information from another source that helps support your thesis, you would incorporate it into your essay. And you would say, according to so-and-so, this fantastic researcher, or according to Dr. James Smith, or according to a renowned psychologist named Williams, and then you talk about the study that you're quoting. And then remember to add in the date that that study or that article is published or that source was published. And if you're taking a direct quotation, you have to include the page number. But that is not what this video is about. There's going to be future lessons that will cover how to do the in-text citation. So now here I'm just going to pretend that this is a great essay. And I'm going to, once you get to the end of, and you finish typing all of your paragraphs and whatever charts you included, everything else that you need, and you reach the end, then you're going to press the Control Enter to start your last section, which would be your references list, unless you needed to add an appendix to your research project. Okay, so now I'm just going to add just some random paragraphs just to take up some space. So let's just say this is all wonderful stuff. I've done a great job in my research project. Just know that this is just for illustration purposes for the formatting, not for how to actually write anything or how to do in text or anything. So once you have reached the end of what you need to do, right from here, you're just gonna end this page and start a new page. And you do so by pressing the Control and Enter key. So see that now you have your title page, then your body paragraphs. So then now you're ready to start listing your sources. So what I'm going to do next is type in the title for this section, and this section is the references section. So I'm going to click on the center button located under the paragraph section, still within the Home tab. And then I'm going to type in references. Then I'm going to press Enter. And then I'm going to align again to the left. So then now here's where I can start putting in all of my sources, the citations for all of my sources in alphabetical order. I do want you to notice that this particular word here is not in bold. APA 6th edition doesn't call for you to bold the references list like the 7th edition does, but not in the 6th edition. You don't do that. And you also don't bold here, and you don't bold the title here. The only time that you would bold the title here and the title here, and you would bold references, is if you were working in APA 7th edition, not the 6th edition. So now I'm going to go into the database and pull a citation in APA style and paste it. Okay, so now I am inside Academic Search Complete, and I've done a search, and I found a great article that I want to use in my paper. So here I look at the authors, the title of the journal in which this was published in, the date, the volume, issue, the page range, everything that I'm going to need for it. Then I also pay attention to the subjects and a summary. This will all help me write my annotation. Then I will try to find the actual article. Click on the PDF full text. And when the article comes up, I'm going to make it a little bit bigger so it's easier for me to see. Then I'm going to confirm that everything is correct, right? Here's again the title of the article, the volume, the page range, the year of publication, the full title, all of the authors, where they came from. Then I review this article. Then I also take a look at their references, and then if I ever find something within their article that I want to follow up, I would try to find their citation here and try to locate that particular article myself. So let's say if I wanted to use something in here from this source, which is right from this particular article, and I'm ready to put it into my paper and do the citation for this to go in my references list. So I'm going to use the tools from this database. I go to the little icon that looks like a yellow piece of paper. I'm going to click on that. Then I see the different options. So I'm going to find APA, and I'm just going to highlight and select this particular citation because this is done according to APA style. It's not perfect, but at least it'll save me time. So I'm going to right click, then I'm going to use the left button to click on copy. Then I'm going to go into my document. Now I'm going to make it a little bit bigger so that we can see it better. So now I'm going to right click, and it gives me different options. See, if I leave it as the default option, or I do Control V to paste, notice that it has this gray background. So I don't want that gray background there. So what I'm going to do is, instead of doing that option, I'm going to select the middle option just to see what it looks like. And I like that one because it gets rid of that extra HTML code that we don't need for here. It gets rid of that gray background. Now I could also do the keep text only, but what that does is if it had any italics in it, like this time it does, notice here aggressive behavior. See, look at the difference. It gets rid of the italicizing. So just to save myself some time, I'm just going to select the middle option right over here. I'm going to paste with merging formatting. So what that means is the text that I am pasting from another source is going to match the format that I've already set up in my document. So that's why it's kind of handy to already have everything set up the way you want it. So that way it'll just save you time at the end. Now this, I would still need to look at it to make sure that there are no errors in it. And I also need to set up the hanging indentation. So in order to set up the hanging indentation, I'm going to highlight the entire citation. Then still in the home tab, I'm going to click in the paragraph section, bring down that menu. And now I'm going to go to the indentation section. Under special, I'm going to bring down the special menu and select hanging. Then I'm going to click on OK. And see that creates the hanging indentation. The next step is for me to review this citation to make sure that it doesn't have any errors. So the best strategy that I can suggest to you is first know what kind of source it is that you are using, and then follow an example from either Purdue OWL or from the APA citation guides, or you can go to our library's website to see if you can find an example of how to do an APA style 6th edition for a journal article. So I'm going to go back into my source. Here's my source. And I already know that this is a journal article, right? Because I spent some time at the beginning trying to figure out what it is, right? So it gives me the title, the volume, the page range, all of that stuff that's important for that. Now I could also go back into the detailed record, which is a tool from the database. And here it just tells me, okay, it's an academic, it's an article. And if I wanted to know what aggressive behavior is, because this is the title where it came from, but it looks like it's a journal article, so I don't need to do any more. But if you ever had any questions on it, you can always just click on that link, and that is going to bring a record with information about what this particular publication is. So this one tells me that it's an academic journal and basically what it does. And that's handy information to help me identify what kind of source it is, because sometimes it is not as obvious as what we would like it to be. So then I know it's an academic journal from one of the databases. So what I'm going to do is go into my library's website. And you already know how to get to it from previous videos. So from our school's website, I'm going to go to the very top where it says citation. I'm going to click on that. And right here, it starts off with, citing your sources, APA 7th, APA 6th. This is what I need. So I'm going to click on that. And here I find information about APA style rules. So I've already taken care of all this stuff here. So now what I want to see is what this information below, because then this tells me citing information. This is what's going to go in the references list. So here's an example of a book with one author. That's not a book. So I'm just going to scroll down the list. It's not an article in an encyclopedia or a magazine. But here's, okay, journal art, getting closer. Here's an ebook. Viewpoints, article. Here we go. Journal articles from the databases. So this is an example that I would like to follow because it's right here. So then this tells me the rules. It gives me the key, and then it tells me an example. So it's easier for me to follow the example. So here I start off. So then here I have my author, then the year that it was published in, then here's the title of the article, and then I notice, and because I'm already familiar with it, if it's a title of something that was published inside something else, whether it's a title of an article in a newspaper or a title in a magazine article or the title of a journal article, I notice here how it's supposed to be. And I notice that they're not capitalizing any of the words and they don't have it in italics. So good things to keep in mind. I need to double check my source. Then I look at here's the title of the actual journal. That is in italics, and they do have the capitalization of all the major words, comma, space, and here's the volume, still in italics, in parentheses. Then this number here is the issue number. That is in regular print, if it has one. comma, space, and then here's the page range. Notice I don't have to put any P or PP in there. Then I can put in retrieve from, and then that's where in the APA Style 6 edition, the rule is that if you get any article from a journal or from a magazine, it doesn't matter whether you got it from a database or not, or just from the internet, is you're supposed to try to find the home page of this publication. So I try to go into Google and try to find the home page for modern music in this example. And then I would get that URL from it. If the source does not have a DOI, but my source does have a DOI. So that's okay, then I just have to look at another example on how to do that. So in this case, this example gives me some information, but it doesn't actually give me everything that I need. So I'm going to try to find and see, I don't have an example here of a DOI. So, but that's okay. So I'm going to go down here where it says style guides, and these are additional links. So, okay, well, maybe I can find more examples here. So I'm going to click on APA Style 6 edition, and that is going to take me to Purdue OWL, or Online Writing Lab. And this is like one of the golden standards for examples. So here it tells me, oh, this is reflecting APA 6, this is what we're working with right now. And I'm going to try to find examples. So, okay, so here, articles in periodicals or electronic resources. So I can just poke around to see where I can find an example of an article from a journal, from a database that has a DOI. So I'm just going to have to poke around a little bit. Here's electronic resources. Okay, here's an example for a web page. I might need it later. Online periodic. Okay, this is getting closer. Aha, DOIs. Here we go. This tells me basic information about what we need to do. And here's the key. Here's the example. So this might be even better for me to look at. So right here, I see the author, the year of publication, the title of the article, then the title of the journal, then the volume. This particular example does not have an issue, and if it doesn't have the issue, we just don't worry about it. We don't include it. Then here's the page range dot, and then here's the code, DOI, and then this long code. Sometimes the source might have the DOI listed as a URL. Look at the example below this one. So if the example is listed as this, you go ahead and follow this example. APA Style 6 edition accepts both of these. It's just that when they came up with this regulation, the 6th edition had already come out. The 7th edition, this is the preferred method for everything. But the 6th edition, you could do this or you could do it this way. I would say just go ahead and start doing it this way so that way you get to practice, unless your professor told you to not do it that way. So see, I tried to go into the library's databases, find the source. So now I'm going to go back into my article, not into my research essay. So then here's, my first author, here's the second author of my source, and here's the third author of my source. I'm going to leave them this way in this order because this is the way that they are presented, the authors are presented in my article. And just to confirm, I can compare that source. See, there's Salim, Anderson, and Gentile. Salim, Anderson, and Gentile. And notice the actual article, it includes the first names, but in the citation for my paper, I don't put the first name. So this is correct, the way that they have them listed here. In MLA, you do list their names, their last name and first name, But in APA, either 6th edition or 7th edition, you do not put their first name, you just put their initial, period, comma, and then if it has more than one author, then you list the rest of the authors. And notice here, you're gonna use the ampersand, because that's the shortened version of saying and. So this part is correct. Then they have a space here, and then there's the year of publication, that is correct. So then now I'm gonna look at the title of the article. And I notice that that is not really correct because they have capitalized all of the major words. And from looking at the rule and the examples, these words should not be capitalized. The only time that you would capitalize a word in the title of either a newspaper article or the title of a magazine article or even the title of a book or the title of a journal article, it's the very first word, the very first letter in the first word of the title, or if this has a subtitle, then you would capitalize that word too, or any personal pronouns like names of people, places, companies, businesses, etc., countries. So all of this, none of this is in somebody's name, is not a country, is not a company, none of that stuff. So I'm just going to make it all lowercase. So I could either do it by hand, where I would go in there and get rid of this and do P, or a nice shortcut is to just tell Word to do it for us. So I'm going to highlight everything that I need changed. Then I'm going to go right here, still in the Home tab, in this section, the little icon that has a big A and a little a, change case, bring that down. I'm going to select lowercase, and that does it for me. So now, okay, it's looking better. Now here is aggressive behavior, that it's in italics, comma, it's got the volume, it's got the issue, comma, and the page range, that's okay. And then there it is. Here is the DOI. And it's got, the hypertext protocol, doi.org, and then it's got the number right here. Then in between these two, it's got this section here. Right, LASC, ADM. So that shouldn't be there because what that does is adding like extra code. So when somebody clicks on that link, it's going to try to get them to access this resource through our resource. If they're not a current student, they won't be able to access it in the first place. So that information there is not needed. But, it depends on your professor whether they're going to be that particular to take off points for this section here. I know some don't do that, or some want everything to be the way that it's supposed to be, right? Which is supposed to be like this: https://doi-org, and then the DOI code for that article. You do not put a period right here. In MLA, you do, not in APA, whether it's 6th or 7th edition. And that is it. Now, in Word, because Word is just configured to do it this way, whenever you press the Enter key, or if you're right here and you press the space bar, it'll turn it into a live link. So what you can do is get rid of that, so that way it looks nice, the way it's supposed to. Just highlight it, and you're going to click on the U for underline. You have to click on it twice, and it gets rid of that underline. Then you need to change the color from the blue to the black. So I'm going to go into the color section and select automatic, and there it goes. So then now it looks the way that it needs to look. Now, if this was a regular research paper and you needed your citations, then you can start pasting your next citations right here at the bottom. If this was an annotated bibliography, what I would say is I would go back right over here, and what I would do is skip, go down one line, but I would do it by doing the Shift Enter key. So that way my annotation would go right below the citation, but still inside the hanging indentation. So that way it's easier for everybody else to see the source, to make sure that they can find each citation and identify it from, or distinguish it from other sources. So for illustration purposes, I'm going to paste just additional citations on here. Okay, so now I've just pasted some additional citations because we're pretending that this is just a regular research paper. And again, just to make sure that no one turns in a research paper for me, is then I'll have different citations here. And let's just say that now I need to alphabetize them because I need to turn them in alphabetical order. So I could go in manually and then just bring this one down and paste, move this one over here and drag it over. But then there's an extra space here that I need to remove. So just make sure that as you alphabetize them, you remove any extra spaces that don't need to be there. Or another thing that I could do is, I'm going to undo that, bring it down, is highlight all of them again, and I can tell Word to alphabetize it for me. So now that I've highlighted all of the entries, all of the citations that I need in alphabetical order, I'm going to still stay within the Home tab, and I'm going to click on the A to Z button. Then sort by paragraphs, text, ascending, and then click on OK. And see now, they are all in alphabetical order. And that is it. So just basically use the citation tools from the database or from whatever source you're using, and then just follow an example from either the OWL or from the library's website. If there are library's website doesn't have the example that you're looking for, then just go ahead and then jump onto the OWL's page or just go directly to the OWL's page. Find the matching example for the source that you are trying to cite, whether it's a book, an ebook, magazine article, a web page, and then just make sure that all of the elements are correct on it, okay? And that is basically it if you were doing this for a regular research paper. For my project, you're not actually doing a research paper like this with all of this. So what you would need is just the title page and then the references list. But then the references list is more than just a references list. You're going to need to put in a little paragraph at the end of these. So if you are to do APA for my class, what I suggest is for you to not use APA 6th edition. Use APA the 7th edition. Please take a look at the video that I created on how to do the annotated bibliographies for the 7th edition. I think most professors are moving forward with the 7th edition. However, there are still some that are still using the 6th edition, and it is up to them to use it. So the reason why I've created this video is to teach you how to do it in the 6th edition APA style, so that way you have that knowledge with you in case you need it in future classes and how to go about using it. For my class, don't use the 6th edition, use the 7th edition. Okay, so thank you for your time. Pay attention to all the differences between the 7th edition and the 6th edition. And also keep in mind MLA as well, because you might encounter courses that will require those different citation styles. So see you next time.